Hey guys, what's going on? So here's an update on the 51. I have mounted the AC compressor. I used the Vintage Air kit. I used I think it's called a high mount alternator and AC compressor. The AC condenser will fit up in the front. All you do is you unbolt the radiator, build spacers, move it back and put it in between the support bar and the AC and the radiator. But there are already some holes in the firewall, so I only had to drill one and put the bulkhead fittings through the firewall. I assembled the whole thing already and built all the lines, mounted the dryer, fit all the lines, and after I fit all the lines, I then went inside the car with the bulkhead fittings installed in the firewall. I mounted the AC unit under the dash and made the lines for that. And by made, I put all the fittings on, figured out if I needed a 90 or a 45 or a straight. Fitted all, routed all the hoses, cut all the hoses to length, and then time them all, put them on exactly the way you want them, make sure everything looks fine, even if you have to zip tie them. And then you use a Sharpie and you mark every fitting with every hose. So you can see that one right there has rotated a little. So there's a mark there and a hose. So the whole thing's been put together and all the hoses have been marked. All the hoses are 6 and 8, a dash 6, a dash 8, and a 10, I believe. This one is a 6, that's the small one. That's the one there's the most of, because the dryer requires it. The condenser is dash 6 in and out. This is a Master Cool kit. Pretty inexpensive. Got it online. So that's the quality of the crimp right there. It's actually pretty Sano. I'll give you a little hint here. When you put the thing in, try to keep the last crimp close to the edge. If you put it in the middle, it tends to make the uncrimped portion flare up. Makes it difficult to get the heat shrink on it, and it looks a little untidy. Okay, here's a quick look at the hoses installed. There's the bulkhead fittings going through the firewall. Hoses crimp, rotated over. So I leave a little hoop, you can see it kind of in the back. It allows me to remove that from the dash, set it on the floor if I need to get above it or behind it. That way you don't have to evacuate or recover the Freon to evacuate the system. Those are the bulkhead fittings on the other side. By bulkhead, they're actually a fitting that bolts to the firewall with these aluminum nuts. You saw them sitting on the fender a second ago. They have a rubber seal on one side, and that was the part that was touching the paint. I didn't just leave bolts laying on the guy's fender. And there's that. Somebody had made block offs, it looks like, and painted them. So we'll just do another one here and a couple small ones. Looks like it's missing one over there anyway. So there they are, mounted on the compressor with the service ports. There is the condenser, dryer. And they all come out underneath the radiator, which you can't really see, but they're in there. And I'll put the dryer in, make a couple of brackets, paint it all black, put it all back.
Playlists.
Hey Jeffrey, what you doing?
I'm looking up the playlist. You caught me.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the finished product on the 51 Ford I'm doing for Tony the Woody guy. That's what I have him for in my phone. So before anybody starts critiquing my handiwork, somebody else put a small block Chevy in a Ford.
It's beautiful.
Small block Chevy in a Ford.
Did you show the valve covers?
Yeah, with the Corvette valve covers. Small block Chevy in a Ford. So here's the hoedown. This used to have a vintage alternator bodied generator. So it was a generator that sat over here, black generator, but it had an alternator built into it. Very expensive, but looks really cool. Well, he decided comfort was more important than having it look old. There it is right there. I'll have my model demonstrate. It's super cool. Show him the back of it. It's vented, and if you look inside there, it's empty. It's just a big empty housing. Look through the vent in the back, the screen. Can you see? See, it's empty inside there. Oh, yeah.
Just like my head.
Just like it's empty inside there. So took that off, put a alternator on there, AC compressor. Here's the deal. So it's kind of dark down there. Let me grab a flashlight, or I'll have my hand model fire up my flashlight. So this thing has the motor mounts off the front of the engine block, which is vintage 1955. Doesn't have the motor mount coming from the center of the block. So somebody had built a custom bracket, probably Tony, because it was done really nice, to mount the power steering pump. Well, I had to take all that off, modify that bracket, move the pump up and out, then put triple pulleys on the bottom, double pulley on the water pump, and then used Vintage Air's mounting kit. Well, now here's the other thing. This has a center radiator hose, and in addition to that, it has the road tube in the back, and the vent used to stick straight up right here, actually right about where the alternator is. The little vent would be there. That's where you fill the oil. So that has to be open. So I made a little 90 for that. I don't know if it's even visible. Yeah, made a 90 for that. And I can't really see it, but it turned out pretty decent. I put the vent towards the back so you can pop that little cap off and fill it. Other than that, it turned out pretty decent. I tilted the radiator back 3/4 of an inch. Still fits right into the housing up here. There's a vent on it, or a seal on it that lays right on the radiator. And other than that, I think that is about all. I did swing the under dash unit up as high as I could get it. I tuned the shifter so it shifts. And that's about it. I'm going to charge it, wipe it down, and ship it. I think this is maybe the dirtiest this truck has ever been. It's just dust. Okay, so that's it. That's another Vintage Air install. Turned out pretty decent. Looks pretty cool. That's it. See you guys.
Adios.